This is Ken Kaplan from the New England Motorcycle Museum, and kind of bittersweet to be presenting this Triumph for sale because I really would have liked to keep it for the museum collection, but we need to raise about $300,000 to finish the museum, and one of our prized possessions is going up for sale. These Triumphs are near and dear to my heart. My first motorcycle, a street bike, was a hand-me-down 1972 Triumph Daytona 500 that my dad had bought new, then gave to my brother, and then it was mine when I was 14 years old. I actually got arrested driving it when I was 15, but that's a whole nother story. Let's talk about this bike. One of the last years, the right side shift, absolutely a museum piece. This is the original paint on this motorcycle. It hasn't been repainted. Kind of a cool story. Right across the street from our museum, up on the hill, local engineer, airplane mechanic engineer, owned this motorcycle since I think 1974. I have to check the title, but he's owned it since it was almost brand new, and it's been in his heated living room on a jack stand since 1983. He had not ridden the motorcycle. He's getting up in the years. He's in his 70s, and he also had a absolutely gorgeous Harley-Davidson Ironhead Sportster that we just sold. If you look under our completed listings, the red Ironhead Sportster was his also. That sold for $9,500. The bike looks pretty much like it looked when we got it from him, but the bike was sitting since, well, 83. So we took the bike. I'll tell you exactly what we did. We put 65.5 hours in the machine and $2,340 in parts. We charge 80 bucks an hour for labor. So if you bought the bike in and asked us to do this job for you, it's $8,182 worth of work and parts that was put into this bike. In a nutshell, the motorcycle was taken, the engine wasn't taken out of the frame. Matter of fact, the engine is original. It's never been opened up. It's original, top end, valves, everything. Nothing's been tampered with. The engine, you can see all the nuts and bolts on it are in perfect condition like it just came out of the box. The engine was still in the frame, but everything else was taken off. The gas tank, the front end, front wheel, the rear wheel, the exhaust system, the fenders, everything, stripped it right down to the frame and the wiring harness, and then carefully restored every item and put it back on the bike, leaving the original paint. The paint is not perfect. You can see some of the hand pinstriping from the Triumph factory. A little bit it's fading, but it looks gorgeous. And if you're into collecting antiques, you know that the original paint is what everybody wants. There is a slight blem on this side right here, a little stain on the tank right here, but it's more of a beauty mark than anything else. This is an original paint 1973 Bonneville 750. Extremely, extremely rare to find an original paint bike around of this vintage. I also have the title right here. This is the, he bought it in 1975. And he lived on 28 Tolland Turnpike, literally right around the corner. You could see the museum from his house. And he bought the bike down and wanted it to go to a good home. And we were intending on keeping it to display here. We purchased it from him, so it wasn't like he donated it to the museum. We bought it from him, and we have to sell it to raise funds. So we've had the bike for a while now. It took us about 6 months to do the in-frame overhaul on it. We have about 65 hours that we documented, work we had done to it. That's a conservative estimate. The bike was worked on for months on and off. When you do an old restoration on an antique bike, if you say it takes 65 hours, you don't start on a Monday and finish the following Wednesday. You got to order parts and send stuff out for resurfacing, like the front brake rotor. Machine work gets done, parts got to get ordered, it takes time. I did pull the NADA value on this bike. The NADA value is $77.90. We put more than that into the bike, so the reserve is going to be above that. But conservatively, the bike's worth at least minimum $10,000. I believe it's worth in the $12,000, $12,500. Because, to be honest with you, we would have been better off to just sell it as is. It would have bought $4 or $5 grand without even doing anything to it. But we put a tremendous amount. We were building the bike for us, so we didn't cut any corners. Everything was done on the bike the right way. But the board of directors has come to the conclusion some of our prized possessions are going to be sold. Keep an eye on our account on eBay. You're going to see some beautiful bikes coming out. There are some up right now. I'm going to give you a quick rundown on what we did. First thing we did is a full assessment on the bike and get it running. Make sure that everything was proper on the engine. We put a brand new battery in it. Went through the whole wiring harness. Cleaned all the connectors on the wiring harness, made sure all the wiring was perfect on it, which it is. There was one short on on the coils to the battery, is what it says here. So they took care of the short and went through the whole wiring harness, and everything's mint on it. The fuel tank was removed. The fuel tank was cleaned. We used a metal rescue product on the inside of the tank. We installed 2 brand new petcocks on it, brand new fuel line, brand new clamps, and we added fuel was stable in it, fresh fuel. The carbs were removed. They were cleaned in our ultrasonic carb cleaning tank. If you look at them, they look like they just came out of the box. They're absolutely perfectly clean. That's due to the ultrasonic cleaning method. Brand new carb rebuild kits were put into it. The air filters were in mint shape, so they cleaned the air filter. And the airbox covers on both sides needed to be repainted, so those were repainted in our paint shop here at the museum. Again, the tank is original paint. The airbox covers were repainted. They needed paint. So we diagnosed and repaired an issue with the turn signals that they needed a flasher, so we put a new turn signal flasher in. Took the turn signals apart, cleaned out inside all of them, cleaned all the connections, and polished them. The center stand spring needed to be replaced, so the center stand spring was replaced, and also some bolts and nuts on the center stand. But the center stand wasn't on the bike when we got it, because it also, the bike optionally we're selling a very rare Dunstall 2-into-1-into-2 set of lake pipes here, which we'll talk about those in a minute. But those were on the bike at one point, so those pipes don't work with the center stand. So when we went to remount the center stand, we had to get a new spring for it and some nuts and bolts. The center stand was sanded and repainted in the original color also. The front brake fluid was flushed and refilled and then bled, and the front brake rotor was sent out and machined. So the front brake rotor is absolutely perfect, like brand new. That was one of the things we had to wait a few weeks for. We had to remove the original headers that were on here. They were the original factory headers that came with the bike. They had a couple dings in them. There's actually a ding right here in one, and we just thought it took away from the pipe. So we got these. These are the reproduction headers on the original mufflers. These are original Triumph mufflers on this bike. They're not rusted anywhere. They're in beautiful shape. They have the Triumph logos on them. The head pipes, like I said, these are replacement ones, but they're the ones from the UK that are more expensive. You can get ones made in Japan or China. These are ones made in the UK to the original equipment quality. We spent the extra money. So that includes the head pipes, the crossovers, and the clamps. The original seat on the motorcycle was needed to be recovered, so we actually purchased a complete replacement seat assembly. You can see it's in beautiful quality construction from the UK. Everything underneath here, the wiring is beautiful. This has the original leather hold down strap for the battery, indicating the type of storage this bike was in a heated living room environment, along with the Sportster. It was just a display piece for 30 years. Everything's gorgeous underneath here. So no issues under there. Brand new seat on the bike. We also replaced the oil sump plate. The drain bolt on it was not, perfectly. There was a couple issues with the drain bolt that wasn't up to par. So a new oil sump plate and new gaskets were put on it and new engine oil. The valves were checked and adjusted. The valve clearance was adjusted to perfection. The point gap was adjusted and the timing was adjusted, and they cleaned and lubed the Advancer. Speaking of clean and lube, every nut and bolt, when this bike was down to just the frame and engine, every nut and bolt was clean, and each bolt, as it was reinstalled, was oiled, so that 30 years from now, if someone wants to take this bike apart, none of the bolts will be rusted. That's kind of attention to detail that we have doing museum quality restorations here that you're not going to get from any other shop unless they're a restoration shop like ours. The hand grips, we put new hand grips on the bike. These are made in Italy. These are Turismo grips. They're the original equipment style grips. They look just like the ones that originally came on it. One of the things I want to point out, everything works beautifully on this bike. The turn signals, the horn, the kill switch, the high-low beam, the running lights, the high beam, the low beam, everything's 100% on electrical. No issues anywhere. The front brake and the rear brake both work beautifully. So as far as electrically and mechanically, the front forks, when the front forks were off the bike, the complete front end was totally dismantled. Everything came off the bike. The wiring harness is beautiful condition inside the headlamp. One of the things I want to note, look at the quality of the chrome on this headlamp. This is the original headlamp, and it looks like it just came out of the box. It's absolutely beautiful. Also, the turn signals, usually these are all pitted. The handlebars are usually all pitted. The bolts are usually pitted. Everything's beautiful on this bike. This guy was an engineer. He knew how to take care of his equipment. He knew how to store it, and that's why this bike survived in such excellent condition. When the forks were off the bike, they were completely dismantled, and new fork seals were installed. And the left-hand fork cap, it needed a new one, so apparently that was stripped out a little bit. So they put a new fork cap on it. While the front end was off, the front brake was sent out, the caliper was rebuilt, the bearings were greased and repacked with grease, the spokes were adjusted. The tire that's on it is came on the bike, and it's a Dunlop Roadmaster TT100, and it looks to have less than 100 miles on it. It's in perfect condition, so we did not replace that tire, but we did match it with a brand new one on the rear. So speaking of the rear tire, same process here. Everything was removed, the whole wheel assembly, everything was taken off the bike, and the exhaust, everything. The chain was cleaned and lubricated. The chain's in perfect condition. Looks like it was replaced recently. The shocks are in great shape. While the rear wheel was off, it spins beautifully. While the rear wheel was off, the bearings were repacked, the brakes were cleaned and sanded with emery cloth. Everything was inside the brake assembly that needed to be lubricated, all the friction points including. You can see there's still oil on this right here, so it works beautifully. That's the master craftsmen that work in the museum here. When they go through something, everything's done. We're not punching a time clock on this thinking, geez, let's hustle up and get this done. We're trying to push a job out the door. These things are being restored to the 10th degree, so anything we can do to make it better is done. The rear brakes were adjusted clean. The front fender, I have the original front fender that came off the motorcycle right here, and I have the original rear fender. They come with the motorcycle. This is the rear fender. It looks great. However, it wasn't perfect, so we replaced it. This is the original front fender. There was an issue that Triumphs were notorious for on the 73s, where this bracket right here wasn't there. It only had the front bracket right here. And the 74s had this piece, and if you look, it caused the brackets and braces, this front one, to crack. So the guy that we bought it from, being an engineer, crafted this repair, and it looked good on the bike, but obviously it was a repair. So we bought this brand new reproduction fender from the UK, which has the 6-hole, they call it, because that one only has 2, and this brace right here, right from the factory, so this one will not crack. So you do get the original fenders with it, front and rear. These fenders are extremely expensive, but they're, we wanted the bike to be museum quality restoration, so that's what we did. The rear fender, same thing with that. I'll show you the rear fender. The rear fender actually had a crack in it. I think you saw in the video how much these bikes vibrate. The front wheels go back and forth, and the rear wheels vibrate. It caused a vibration crack on the rear fender, which is another thing that they fixed at a later date. And you can see the quality. Look at how clean this fender is. This thing was owned by an engineer who was meticulous in his maintenance of his motorcycle. If you look at the bottom of the engine, I'll show them how clean the bottom of the engine is on this thing. The casings are, here, take a peek. Look at how clean it is underneath there. The thing is spotless. Really, really clean. A piece of lint from a rag is on it from when they cleaned, but it's just in beautiful condition. The rear fender, again, has been replaced. You can see it's absolutely gorgeous. Show quality chrome on there. It comes with the original fender. The original tail lamp is in gorgeous condition, as are the turn signals. Obviously, the bike's never been dropped, never been left out in the rain, never been abused. The seat has the gold logo on there, which matches the gold in the tank beautifully. Just a gorgeous bike. As far as the parts we used on the bike, it's got a brand new Yuasa battery, brand new Amel, not aftermarket, but Amel carb kits, 2 brand new fuel petcocks, including the 90-degree fittings, the washers and the seals and the petcock, 2 front black fuel lines, 4 small hose clamps for the fuel lines, brand new set of hand grips, brand new flasher for the turn signal, brand new center stand spring, brand new center stand bolts and nuts, and brand new DOT plug gasket, left and right head pipe set, which was $320. The cross pipe was $50 and the clamps were $40. So just the headers alone, there's over $420 right there. And as I said, the original mufflers are in spectacular condition. I think that was based on the fact that you ran an aftermarket exhaust for some period, but again, this bike was only on the road from 1973 to 1983. It's been in museum storage since 1983. That's why it's so beautiful. It has the reproduction seat assembly, brand new sump gaskets, brand new sump plate on the bottom with the oil bolt, replacement left-hand fork cap, brand new fork seals, brand new fork dust seals. You see these dust seals on top of the forks? These always crack. Any bike you buy from this vintage, if it hasn't been done, the forks are going to need to be rebuilt, and to send one out and have it done, it's really expensive. We did do it all in-house here by the restoration pros at the New England Motorcycle Museum. The sealing washer for the fork bolts on the bottom was replaced, and of course it's got new fork oil in there. The rotor was sent out and turned and then painted on the painted surface, so that's in perfect condition. Brand new front fender. The front fender was $275. The rear fender was $410. The braces for the fenders was $270. So we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40, just under $1,000 in fenders, not including shipping. We paid $112 on shipping for all the parts I mentioned. The brand new rear tire, it's a Dunlop K81 425 85H18. It's a period correct. This tire has less than 10 miles on it. Brand new, along with the rim strip and the tube, so you're ready for another decade of riding right there, or put it on the museum display for the rest of your life. It's always going to be beautiful. Brand new 18-inch rim strip, brand new inner tube, and then of course brand new engine oil. So there's your parts list, $2,340 in parts. I have all the receipts right here for the parts that we purchased. So you're going to get a fully documented documentation on the parts. We're a dealer, so of course we get it probably 20% discount over an end user. Bike's fantastic. I rode the bike and I kind of forgot how good these things handle. It's been a while since I've ridden one that was set up like this with the suspension rebuilt on it and the nice tires, and the thing turns and handles on a dime. It's just fantastic riding bike. I've got a cycle guide review I'll read some excerpts from for you on the bike. But before I do that, I want to point out the exhaust, which we're offering. You're getting the fenders, original fenders with it, and no extra charge. If you want to buy the bike, if you click buy it now at $12,500, it includes the exhaust system. Anything less than the buy it now, we're going to sell this exhaust separately. This is a very rare Dunstall 2-into-1-into-2 performance exhaust system, and it's set up like a lake pipe. Let me show you. Take a look at the end of this muffler right here. The sound has a real nice throaty sound on it, but see this right here? All you got to do is turn this like this, and it goes from being a muffler to a straight pipe, just like the lake pipes they make on the cars. See that? Muffler, straight pipe. So if you're going around town and there's cops, pull over, nice and quiet. If you're going through inspection, nice and quiet. Turn that, and you've got full-on drag pipes, and the thing sounds nasty with that on there. But you do have to remove the center stand with this a racing setup. So this is available. We're going to sell this separately for $1,200 or $1,250 is what it's going up on eBay for. But if you want to buy it, if you click buy it now, and that's included with the bike at the buy it now price. So Cycle Guide had this to say about the Bonneville 750. A Triumph looked, ran, and sounded the way a motorcycle was supposed to look, run, and sound. And no matter how many other motorcycles a rider owned, he ultimately longed for a Triumph. If he couldn't afford one, he tried to make his bike look like a Triumph. The decision to buy a Triumph was not based on practicality or financial consideration. It was emotional. And if I had my choice between the Sporty he had or this, I'd absolutely take the Triumph. This is a much better riding and handling bike. A 400-pound, competitively priced 750 twin that handles and steers lightly makes sense. The engine has a wide tractable power spread, and it will accelerate almost as strongly from 1,500 RPM as it will from 5,000 RPM, and you can cruise smoothly anywhere from 25 to 105 miles per hour in fifth. This thing rips. At 55 miles per hour, the engine is turning just below 3,500 RPM in fifth gear. It makes its maximum horsepower at 6,000 RPM. The biggest improvement in the new Bonneville is its 5-speed gearbox. I wanted to add that about the bike. Not only does it brake really well and handle really well and ride really nice, but the transmission on this bike shifts super smooth, much smoother than I ever remember another Triumph with this vintage shifting. So the old Triumph 4-speed was a crunch box in the most literal sense of the world. This 5-speed gearbox is a huge improvement of the old 4-speed. And I'll tell you, I took right to the right side shift because this is a right side shifter, shift on the right, unlike most new motorcycles, you shift on the left. I took to it like a fish to water because I had one of these when I was a kid. The gearbox ratios are staged with perfect progression. First gear is tall enough to be useful for more than just starting out. The clutch engages progressively and doesn't grab, drag, or slip. And performance was once the keynote of the Bonnie's personality, and the Bonnie accelerates as hard as it always did, or even a little harder. The T140V has become somewhat of a big bore champion, and it averaged 44.8 miles per gallon during their test. And at 414 pounds, the Bonneville weighs about 100 pounds less than most other 750s. It's super light. And the T140V feels lighter than it really is, even standing still. That's one thing I noticed riding, it's super smooth. When you're putting it on the center stand, for example, it feels like a tall 125. The lightweight of the machine is an important factor contributing to the Bonneville's wonderfully light and quick, yet steady handling. The machine has a low center of gravity, and the front end geometry is designed for easy steering. The Triumph's quickness makes it possible to flick the bike from peg to peg in an S-bend with no more than a mild pressure on the handlebars. It sometimes feels like the Bonneville turns as if you're just thinking about it. It's telepathic steering. What the Bonneville offers is lightweight, dead accurate steering, telepathic handling, low RPM torque, and stone-axe simplicity. It has styling strong enough to get a certain kind of rider interested, which means the Bonneville has the things that make a Bonneville appealing in the first place still going for it. It does what a motorcycle is supposed to do, and it looks the way a motorcycle is supposed to look. So there you have it. That's pretty much everything I could tell you about the bike. I am a Triumph nut. I love this bike. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Oh, this motorcycle is going to be featured in the Connecticut Calendar Girls calendar. They did a photo shoot on it, which there should be a picture in the listing. Gorgeous model Denise Longy from Connecticut did a shoot, picked this bike out of the bunch because her dad had a Triumph, kind of a cool story like this when she was a kid. She did her photo shoot. Of course, she'll be fully clothed in the ones you see, but just use your imagination. Bike is just, it looked amazing in the photo shoot as it does in person. If you want a great investment, even if you don't like motorcycles, I'm sure if you stuck with me this far, you're a bike nut like I am. But if you're just making an investment, much better than the stock market. This will outpace the stock market as far as the value going up. If you love old Triumphs, buy this bike. If you want a good investment, buy this bike. If you want to help preserve motorcycle history by helping fund the New England Motorcycle Museum, then buy this bike. So it's just a fantastic machine. I wish I could keep it. I can't. It's got to go to a new home. We can help you ship it anywhere in the country. We can store it for you as long as you want. You can leave it here forever if you like. In the museum on display. That's where it's going. Back for people. Back on display as soon as we're done for people to enjoy. But just take a look at the bike, the quality of the bike. The levers are in gorgeous condition. The gauges are in beautiful shape. These are the original levers. Look at these things, Kenny. These things have never been on the ground and they're polished to perfection. The engine's spotless. The rear end's super tight on it. No play whatsoever on the rear end. No play on the front end. Just a fantastic bike. The gauges are, take a look at these gauges. Super clear, beautiful, beautiful shape. All the switches, electrical. You know, I'm probably starting to be redundant now, so I'll leave it at that. Just a fantastic bike, well worth the asking price. The reserve is a little bit less than that, but the buy it now includes the Dunstall exhaust, which we can install for you or take it as is. So good luck bidding on the bike. If you have any questions, give us a call, 860-454-7024. We're here 6 days a week. Hope it goes to a great new home and you enjoy it as much as we've had while we had it here. So good luck and God bless America.